Hello and welcome to another episode of Boca Moca here at what are we on episode? I think we're at 14 now.
You're keeping count?
I think so. I don't know. I've edited so many now. I think we're up to 14.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got another great episode. Last week we were working with AI, and some of the things that we were looking at also kind of drove into this episode. We really wanted to discuss some of a very overlooked category with photography and editing, and that's cropping of the images.
It is probably one of the most basic tools in your arsenal as a professional photographer, and just a simple crop can make a world of difference and completely change a story that you're trying to tell.
Absolutely. And with it too, there's a lot of, I guess, guidelines that we need to work with as well. Like, how much can you crop an image versus when you crop an image, do you want to keep it rules of thirds? Do you want to keep it with the Fibonacci Spiral? Do you want to keep it with the 9 grid? There's so many different guidelines that we can work with cropping, but we're not going to go that deep into the weeds, I don't think. I think we're going to stick with just kind of what a crop can do.
Yeah. Although that is probably another episode idea right there.
Oh,
because as soon as you started listing off those things, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Because if you go against the rule of thirds, then that changes the story that you're trying to tell with your photo and whatnot. But yes, I've got a sample picture here. This is all taken from one picture. It was a shot that I took while I was in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. This is the Basin Park Hotel in Eureka Springs. That's also where I stayed. And I did a little street portraiture session while I was doing some street photography. And somebody came up to me and talked to me while I was doing photography. And, we did a quick little portrait session with them because they read my aura and said that I have a very calm aura about myself. So they came up and talked to me. And yeah, that was it. But while we're talking, I ended up taking a snapshot of somebody that came out onto the balcony of the Basin Park Hotel and just to grab maybe a quick drag of their vape or something along those lines. And I mean, we zoom in right there. But I did 3 different crops of this shot and sent it to our group Facebook group text that all of us are a part of on the Boca Moca podcast. And you said that you didn't even see the person until the final crop.
Absolutely. When we had with 3 renditions of it, you went from really wide, narrow, all the way down into your zoomed in almost not person.
Yeah.
And when you first saw it, I just saw the architecture at first. Oh, very nice building, love the building.
Yeah.
You got to the 3rd image, and I'm like, there's a person out there. Oh, that changes the subject.
Yeah, and that just goes to show. So if we switch back over to my tablet here real quick, these are the 3 shots that I sent. It was this one, which is the more pulled out one. You can kind of see the because this was around Christmas time, so they had a little they have a ball drop around New Year's.
Okay.
So this was between Christmas and New Year's, so they were getting ready for their ball drop in the middle of the place. And then this is the final crop where we lose the architecture, but we gain the subject. And then I tried to split the difference a little bit and get both, but I kind of feel like it didn't quite. Neither one, you split the difference, and then suddenly, you just lose impact on both fronts.
And that's the middle one really did that. It lost its ability.
Yeah, I was trying to do both at the same time when I should have just committed to one or the other.
But for that's a really good point to show what we're trying to do for cropping of this one, though, because we went from an impact of architecture to an impact of a person. And then, of course, we have the middle ground of there is real nothing in between. But when we have the architecture, your eye doesn't get drawn to the person because they're so dark shadowed. It ends up being where they're just there.
Yep.
But it's kind of cool to show what a simple crop can be able to accomplish. Now, for me, I like to stick with rule of thirds when I'm doing my cropping. So if it's a person, I'll put my grid square directly on their eye. I'll actually look at this camera now since we got it up, but I'll put the grid square on either eye depending on which style that we have for their point, and there'll be a cross hatch right on there. Some of the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
If I'm doing more of a silhouette, I'll take the center body line and I'll move it towards the rule of thirds, except for the one that I did at Cedar Bluffs. Okay. Sorry, I got distracted by a spider crawling down the wall here.
And the technical director, Abigail, is freaking out.
And she's crawling up the wall now. But the portrait that I did of Cedar Bluffs, because I had a framework using the reeds, I put her almost dead center.
Yeah.
But then I used the reeds and I touched the top and bottom thirds of my image. So I had that be along the center line across the whole thing.
Yeah.
So still trying to use rule of thirds, but for you, it was really cool to see the differences in the crop technique because you don't really stick to rule of thirds as a rule of thumb for your photos.
Well, okay, and again, though, it also depends on the story that I'm trying to make. As a street photographer, sometimes you're capturing the scenery more than you are capturing like a specific subject, or sometimes you can make if your subject's not the highlight, but you want like say for example, like if we look at this picture right here on my tablet, the subject's not really the person. It's more of the idea that there's a person outside of a balcony and what is going on below them. What is going on? Is there a party going on and they're overlooking it? Is it something like that? It's not. I mean, like they probably just snuck out to like catch a breath of fresh air, or maybe like get away from the kids for just a few seconds to,
You know what? I'm down for that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
What's also kind of cool on that too is just what you're just bringing up with that last image. You're not having your subject be the person. You're having the subject be the moment, the time.
Yep.
So it changes your aspect because you're not doing an object, you're doing a time.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Actually, I've got a probably a better demonstration photo to talk about that. It's going to be this one right here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So
I remember seeing this in the group chat.
Yeah. No, this one right here it's not about the person, although the person is kind of a focal point. And I guess this does follow the Fibonacci spiral. If you center the middle of the Fibonacci spiral on the person, and you can see it like kind of cascading out, but there's also like kind of a natural vignetting that's happening with like the darkness of the trees around this person and everything. But realistically speaking, I mean, all I'm doing, I just thought this was like really cool as we were walking across the stones and just captured that moment. But like, it's really not about the person. It's more of like how all of this fits together. The oppression of the forest plus the smallness of the subject and the column of light that the sun is peeking through because they were just kind of right in that middle of the canopy of trees.
Now, what's really cool about this picture, when you first sent it to me, I even said, hey, where did you take this at? And you're like, just down the road. You're in Hayes, Kansas.
Nope, that wasn't in Hayes. It was in Topeka. This was in Topeka. Yeah.
Well, it's still Kansas.
Yeah.
And I'm going, that's not Kansas. No, Kansas is flat. Kansas is...
Eastern Kansas is a lot different than Western Kansas. Central Western Kansas, yeah.
To me, this looks like Rocky Mountains in the middle of the forest. Like, it's such an amazing picture that I never thought for a moment it was Kansas.
Yeah. It's a nature trail that cuts through the middle of Topeka, the city. But yeah, but we'll show you kind of how to obtain how to obtain those moments when we in the next segment. What we're going to do is we're going to start with the raw of these three photos that I demonstrated here, and because the raw is completely different, because I was in the middle of doing a street portraiture session, and then I was talking to my model afterwards, and that person popped out. I still had my 85 on, not my zoom, so it's even
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the raw is completely different from this picture here.
Well,
So-
I'm super excited to see that coming up here on the next segment after this commercial breaks. Welcome back to another episode here at Boca Moca.
well, it's still the same episode.
Oh, we are in the same episode. You know what? This is what happens when we do these at the late evening time, and I'm not awake after a full days of work here. But
Segment 2 of the
segment
same
2
episode.
of episode, we believe, 14.
Yeah.
And we are working with cropping of images. The last segment, we were talking about the 3 different crops that you had of this picture, but now we're going to be able to get into the nitty gritty of how you decided to use the crops from the raw image.
Yep, that's exactly it. So if we want to switch over to the iPad here real quick, again, not sponsored. This is the raw of that image that I took. And I know a lot of people. Here's the thing: if I could get on a little side rant real quick, and also start the timer here as well too, so we know that we were not running out of time. But if I can get on my soapbox for a moment, I see a lot of discourse on. Apparently, like there are like all-out battles on prime lenses versus zoom lenses.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, it's like, use a prime lens and then just crop in because, kind of thing like that. And I'm like, well, in this case, it's a necessity because it's what I had on my camera. I wanted to capture that moment.
Yep.
And this is the distance that I was at because I was across the courtyard. An 85 is still a fairly tightish zoom, but at the same time, there is still a little bit of limitations on this, but yeah,
I think we discussed that in one episode. You are very much a prime.
I am
lens
a prime.
user,
I am a prime,
and I'm very much a not prime lens.
And
user.
then how many photos have I displayed that I've used my 100 to 400 though too?
That is true.
Same time.
It is true.
But that's because
you would rather stick with your prime lens, like your 85.
If I'm doing street photography, I stick with my 85 or my 35.
Yep.
Those are my two, and it all depends on what I'm going to do. But see our street photography episode for the differences in that. Absolutely. But I digress. Rant over. Let's get into cropping this bad boy here. So this is the raw. Like I said, we'll even full screen it here real quick, and you'll be able to get like kind of an idea of the scale of this. But I like the rounded architecture on the building itself, but I also wanted to capture the subject here. So now, and I think when I framed this up here, I didn't want too much sky. I wanted to kind of as I was taking the photo, I was trying to center the subject, and then I was just going to plan on cropping it around them because we've got a couple of different things that we can play with. Mm-hmm. That now that we're looking back at the raw here, I see a couple more things that we can play around with because originally I went for like making the subject and still wanting to keep the architecture in here, but thankfully I also kept this area over in here that we could potentially play around with this as well too. Like we've got the trees, we've got the colorful lights on the end of it as well there too. We have also got like this nice little highlight blowout right here from this one, so we want to eliminate that one. Yep. In some way, shape, or form. So let's get into our crop here real quick. Like I said, every time that I go to crop first, I always try to correct my angles because again, I was kind of shooting from the hip on this one here, and we're going to arrange this to where we're even with the curve of that building. That's what I'm kind of eyeballing here. But you'll also notice that architecture in itself is not quite as fluid as we seem because now this is off-centered.
Yep.
So we're going to recenter or re-angle this here, and if my fingers will stop slipping while I'm using this iPad. So now we're a little bit more level with that top part of the building that was right next to it, in a way. So now
that's always amazing too. For a little bit of another side rant, mm-hmm. When you're working with your angles, it also depends on your lens curvature. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, with you're using the prime lens, mm-hmm. of the 85 millimeter, which we have here on your camera, it's here, you don't have as much of a curvature as if we switch to our wide view camera lens. This one is a 14 millimeter lens, mm-hmm. and our wide view camera lens There we go. Gotta love technology, right?
It's all right.
There it is. Yeah. As you can see, we don't have exact straight lines coming up on these, which is a flat straight line wall.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a curvature. So when you've got buildings that aren't exactly straight, plus you've got buildings at different depths, plus you've got the curvature of your lens and the curvature of the earth, so many things, you can never get a perfectly straight line. Which I love photography.
Yeah. So
back to the photos.
Yeah. So yeah, and like the Basin Park Hotel is like I think 125 years old, 150 years old, something like that, if I remember right. It's considered one of the most, well, no, it's not the most haunted hotel in the town. I didn't get a booking there, but it's supposedly haunted. But anyway,
but now it's not the most haunted hotel in the U.S. still, right?
No.
We need to find those.
That would be, I believe, the Stanley or the Overlook in Denver,
yes.
or in Estes Park. Rant. Anyway, let's crop some pictures.
So
more episodes, less rant. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, like just cropping in like this instead of like focusing on the portrait mode that I originally sent you guys. We're now in a landscape mode, and this also changes the picture overall, because now we've got these beautiful lights. We've got, this almost looks more like an apartment complex than a hotel, which I guess a hotel is anything but an apartment complex that you just pay for a couple of nights for. But that's beside the point.
Without usually a kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. And probably less ghosts too. Anyway, but like just changing this aspect here completely changes the photo too. Now the subject, instead of being in the center of the photo, is now over to the side of the photo, and we can kind of see a little bit more where they're looking out at. What's going on the street below? What is, is it something cool that's causing those lights? Are they overlooking a forest? If somebody who has never been to Eureka Springs and has never seen the courtyard that is outside of Eureka Springs, they're filling in the gaps of what they're potentially looking out and over.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
I will say this much too: when you're a street photographer and you're in a tourist destination and you walk by a group of people, they see the camera, they immediately go, "Oh, hey, can we hand you our phone and have you take a picture?"
Oh my gosh, so many times. So many times. Yeah. There was a point that I was like, I'm just gonna put a little sign on me that says, "I will take your picture, but not with your phone."
I did it with their phone because they want it right there, and they wanted to send it off to people and everything too. But I'll actually ask them like as well, if I'm like, "Hey, do you want to do another one?" But anyway, back to cropping. Yeah, this or what we could do here too is we could even switch it over to landscape. If I can. Where are you? Nope, that is not it. See, here's the thing, though. Lightroom just recently did an update between filming these episodes, and I don't remember where how I switch it over to landscape. There, nope, that's it. Hold on. Wow. We're failing at this. Oh, there it is. They moved it down to a little button on the bottom. There we go. Okay.
They did.
Anyway, back to correcting all of that we just did. Like I said, Lightroom did an update recently between filming of the episodes. So yeah, there we go. So now we, if we bring it back to like my original crop that I was going for here, if we wanted to make it about the architecture and the person on the side there, completely different story. The other thing that we could do here too is we can even, okay, now that's my stylus that's acting up now here too. So if we can change it back to horizontal again, and we can even move that crop over there.
Yep.
As well. So, there is
so many different options that we can be able to work with for the cropping. And what was also kind of cool is when we were looking at it from that tree perspective as well, off that side. As you were saying, I think a little bit earlier, that's behind the building in front. So there's still a building in front of those trees. Yeah, the trees are, in front of the building.
Yep.
But it looks like that when you do that, that's the ground.
Mhm.
And that's another aspect you can use for changing of your crop.
Especially since there's a door to that roof.
Yep.
Out there too. So
yeah. It makes it look like, oh, that's ground level now, and it changes your perspective.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's just a quick little rundown, minus some little technical hiccups there that we can go into. But what we're going to do now is, if you remember from our previous episode where we fed some shots to ChatGPT, that we're going to take your shot of your dog, Khaleesi, and do those crops that ChatGPT was telling us to try and do, and then we're going to feed it back in and see if it accepts or likes our crops there.
I like this idea, and I think we're going to do a little bit more too, just to appease the ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Of us, but we will go ahead and do that on our next segment, not next episode. Next segment. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. And we're back here with another segment of Boca Moca. We've got a picture that we worked with last week that was of Khaleesi. And for those of you who are watching, yes, Khaleesi did come as the name from the Game of Thrones. We don't have any sponsorship with it, but she's my dog, so I get to name her Khaleesi. So that's my deal.
Yeah.
I loved Game of Thrones when it was out, but it was still technically is if you watch the reruns.
Well, there's also the prequel that's going on right now. Anyway, we're getting way off topic on our rants.
Yes. But Khaleesi, for those of you who didn't tune in last week, Khaleesi was laying down in the backyard, just chilling out, having a good old time. And ChatGPT threw some command prompts at us that was crazy.
Let me find what ChatGPT said about us. Or not. Hold on.
We've used ChatGPT since last episode.
Apparently.
But
oh well. Anyway, that's beside the point.
The one I remember is it got confused. If we pull up the actual photo.
Yep. We'll pull up the photo again.
There we go, and we'll switch over to it. So ChatGPT thought that I was taking the picture through the fence, not how the fence was behind her. And that the foreground was very messy. And then, of course, that big white planter box that's behind her was definitely a big distraction to the picture.
Yep.
And then the stick as well. But what we're going to really focus on is how we can use cropping to clean up this picture from what ChatGPT didn't like, and how we can be able to make this better in just from a snapshot to an actual photo.
There we go. All right. So for whatever reason, it wasn't liking my cropping tool. So anyway, yeah, we're going to crop in on Khaleesi here. And honestly, it's ground. We don't necessarily need to really balance it that much, kind of thing. We might balance it more towards her a little bit, frame her up a little bit. And what we can do is, so the question is, if we just want to use the crop to fix Khaleesi, that's gonna be where we're gonna be cropped in, which isn't awful.
It's not awful, but in my eyes, it's too tight because we want to have this image from a professional aspect.
Yep.
Our eyes are just a little bit open. We want to see what she's looking towards. So if we had our crop out a little bit wider than what we were working with, still keeping her whole body, we get to see what she gets to look towards.
So what we're going to do is we're going to crop it out just a little bit here. We definitely want to remove the rain barrel or water collector right there. There's not really much we can do. Well, there is a couple of things that we can do about this crop here. One is that Lightroom does come with a eraser tool.
Yes, that healing ability.
Exactly. So we're going to change it over to remove, and we're going to just remove that stick.
That did pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right at it, and I can see the smudge there, because you can also kind of see where it eliminated some of the
fence,
of the fence as well too. And we're
you smudged the grass.
No, fingerprinting it. So actually, there's an undo spot there. But I mean, like we could also attempt to like get rid of the extra little thing back there, but it is going to, yeah,
It's
that
not
kind of
going
breaks it up a little bit. What we could probably try to do is maybe try to heal it, because healing does kind of blend it a little bit more. That's better.
It's not as bad as it was before.
Yeah, but again, like you can tell that like there was a little bit of touch up that was done there. But overall, it's not awful.
Now again, we're using this for ChatGPT. We're not pushing this for an actual print.
Exactly.
This was just taken as a snapshot of the backyard because she just looked so perfect, just laying there in the sun, baking her golden color fur that she's got.
So what we're going to do is, since we are giving it to ChatGPT, and we just gave it to ChatGPT flat, like just as like, because this is a JPEG.
Yep.
Technically, so we're not even adjusting a raw here. We are just adjusting a JPEG, which is already compressed and already quote finalized.
Yep.
So that's why our edits are not going to be as fluid, if you will, kind of thing.
And what's so interesting to see is I can see your iPad from here, and I can also see our monitor up there, and how much more oversaturated it looks on our monitor compared to what's on your iPad.
To be fair, our monitor is a TV.
Correct.
So
correct. And that is going to change how we do edits. And when we talk about that on later episodes, we're really going to be talking about what equipment and how to set them will be a benefit as well.
How to do color correction and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but what I did was I gave it a little some high contrast and detail just to kind of make her pop out a little bit more there. I mean, it's a dog. Yes, it has feelings. Yes, it has facial features, but they're not as defined as, say, for example, a person.
Correct.
If I did if I did something like this, we would lose kind of the person in the lines of the presets and whatnot on what it changes. But for this overall here, I think this looks great. I mean, we are a little bit blown out on the whites on her, so what we might do is we might whites just a little bit. There we go.
Hey, that's more her color.
Yeah, there we go. I've met Khaleesi in person as well too.
Oh
so
yeah,
I remember
good puppers.
I remember what she looks like. So now what we're going to do is we're going to export this. And we're going to remove the watermark because it's not my photo. And we are going to just save it as is. Then we're going to pop over to ChatGPT here, and we're going to have it select done and give us an a cold analysis. There you are.
There it is.
I'm useless without autocorrect.
Oh yes.
Of this photo.
And as a reminder to those people who didn't join us on the AI episode, please go watch the AI episode. There's a lot of information on how you can utilize AI as a benefit tool. Because, like for myself, none of my finished products have AI built into any of the images. But we do use AI to help us get, like this, an analysis on the photos, so we can better ourselves and better our images for production.
All right. So I added in the caveat that we are professional photographers, so don't hold back. So it's going to get a little harsh.
Good.
Yeah. So, cold professional critique. The dog is immediately readable, but the image doesn't tell much of a story beyond dog sleeping in yard. That's not necessarily a problem, but when the subject is static and emotionally quiet, the technical and compositional execution has to carry more weight. Strength.
Correct.
The dog's body forms a strong horizontal shape that anchors the frame. The curve of the back creates a pleasing visual line. The collar provides only significant color adjacent and helps separate the head from the body. Weaknesses. The subject is centered vertically.
How is it centered vertically?
Oh, it's trying to tell us that we're not following the rule of thirds.
Ah,
we needed to maybe like move the crop up up a little bit more like that.
Because it's vertical across
Yep.
the picture. I see.
Exactly. So, yep. All right. So, the head is pointed left, with almost no breathing room before the frame edge. For a resting animal, the lack of negative space in the direction of the gaze makes the composition feel cramped.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. The foreground brick strip at the bottom.
That's the brick of the grass.
You do have ChatGPT saw something that I was not paying attention to. You're right. I thought that was dirt. I'll be completely honest. I thought that was dirt. Anyway, the foreground brick strip at the bottom contributes little and competes for attention. The fence bisects the background and becomes the dominant geometric element, which it's not wrong in that regard.
And at least now it says the fence is behind the dog.
Yeah, it's true. This is probably the image's biggest weakness. The chain link fence is visually aggressive, high frequency patterning across nearly the entire frame, similar tone values to the dog, and intersects the dog's silhouette repeatedly. A professional wildlife or pet portrait would typically aim for stronger subject isolation through wider aperture, longer focal length, different shooting angle, and greater subject background separation.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So it definitely is showing, one, we've eliminated some of the basic errors that we had from last week's episode, but two, there's still a lot that can happen from it. And sadly, we are getting towards the end of our episode here today, but that just means that more people will have to tune in more often to be able to get more details. But for today, I think we're going to have to go ahead and end it there. I thank everyone for watching us today, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week. We have hopefully a special announcement next week that we'll be bringing to the air, and we look forward to bringing you guys up to speed then. But until then, keep shooting, keep sharing.